Hey, Mike Gillette here, talking today about language, the effective use of language. Now, right now I'm in a park, Squaw Creek Park. It's a beautiful day, very clear, fairly cold. It's 18 degrees, a little breezy, and we've got a lot of snow on the ground. And I'm parked at the base of a sledding hill where lots of kids are out on sleds. There's a few snowboards. I think I saw one toboggan. And if you were to try to communicate with any of those kids because they were coming up on a tree or another sledder, how would you communicate? Would you give them a lot of detail, or would you cut to the chase and get to the point quickly? Well, obviously you'd have to get to the point quickly because sledding is a fast-paced endeavor and things happen quick accordingly. So this past week I've had several meetings with several different coaches representing several different sports. And when I ask them what challenges they're facing, most of the challenges have something to do with communication and being better, being faster at communicating. And that always reminds me of a very extreme example of when that's not happening. So a couple of years ago, I was observing a basketball team that was coached by a very experienced coach, very knowledgeable coach. And he was a coach that was very compassionate, cared about the game, wanted to be a good coach, cared about his athletes. And that's important to know because his approach to coaching was really unique. As soon as the game would start, he would start talking to the athletes that were playing. And he never stopped. He literally never stopped. He was constantly filling the air with syllables about what he wanted you to do, what he didn't want you to do, and what you were doing right now that he didn't like. Now, imagine trying to communicate with a sledder in a extremely detailed fashion like that. Well, they're not even going to hear it. They're going to be at the bottom of the hill. You're still going to be saying things. Now, when you're trying to communicate, getting to the point is important. Focusing on what's important is also important. And so oftentimes we don't think about how other people are processing what we're saying. We think about what it is that we want to say. And that drives an approach that's not always particularly effective. We need to be clear. We need to be succinct in our communications. And we need to be aware of how we're framing our communications. And one of the things that I encounter an awful lot with coaches of different sports, even very experienced and even successful coaches, is the tendency to frame things in a negative way. When you're saying, no, not like that. No, you're doing this and you're doing it. And you're articulating things that you don't like, you don't want to see happen, as opposed to what you do want to see happen. Now, here's the secret sauce. If you want to be effective in communicating, if you want to be effective in your own thinking, and why, Mike, all the sports analogies? I'm not a coach, I'm not an athlete. Well, I think that we all function better if we adopt the idea that we are our own coach and that we think and speak to ourselves in ways that are as effective as possible, and that we're not constantly berating ourselves, we're not constantly nagging ourselves. And that doesn't mean that you're hiding from deficiencies and that you're avoiding mistakes and weaknesses. You address those, but you can address those in a way that's productive. And the way that you do that is simply think and phrase things in terms of how you want them to be, what it is that you want to do, not what you're not doing, not what that looks a bit weak in the moment. So what is it that you want to have happen? Phrase things in that way. Invariably, those thoughts and those words are going to come out in a more positive sounding way rather than in a negative sounding way, in a nagging sounding way, which can drain other people. I mean, I've seen it pull down the enthusiasm level of other athletes. It's going to do the same thing to you. So if your internal voice, your coach's voice, if you are nagging yourself constantly, oh, I can't believe I did this. Oh, I'm so weak. Oh, I can't get anything done right. I can't get anything done on time. I can't do things as well as this person or that person. None of that's helpful. Okay, those are limiting, and although it sounds like, hey, I'm just being real with myself, you're just not being really effective with yourself when you use that type of approach. So think about things in terms of what you want to have happen, what you want to have accomplished, and invariably your thoughts and your language will adjust themselves to correspond with a more proactive, positive phraseology. Now, get that going, and then think about, is this a big deal? Is it not a big deal? Is this something that I need to scream at a slutter because they're about to crash? Okay, those things are important. If this is something can wait until they're at the bottom of the hill, then wait till they're at the bottom of the hill. So until next time, stay strong.